there is a moment in your life when the noise of opposition, the chatter of doubt, and the roar of your enemies all come to a sudden divine halt. That moment is now. When God moves, even the fiercest voices against you fall silent, not because you fought harder, but because the one who fights for you has stepped in. Get ready, because your breakthrough is knocking, and your enemies won't have a sound to make. You may be feeling overwhelmed right now because it seems like your enemies are winning, their voices louder than ever, their attacks relentless. But hear this, God's timing is never early, never late, but always exactly right. When you are at your weakest, when it feels like all hope is lost, that is precisely the moment God is preparing to show up and shut down every enemy in your life. The silence that is coming is not by accident or coincidence. It is the fulfillment of divine timing. You see, we live in a world that wants everything instantly, instant answers, instant success, instant peace. But God works on a different clock, one that is perfectly synchronized to your purpose and destiny. The waiting is not wasted time. It is the crucible where your faith is forged and your character is strengthened. Sometimes God allows the noise of your enemies to rage a little longer, not to break you, but to build you, not to defeat you, but to develop you into someone who can handle the victory He's about to give. Every delay, every setback, every moment of silence before the storm has a divine purpose. It's in that waiting room that God is aligning the circumstances, moving the pieces, and orchestrating the perfect moment to act. When that moment comes, your enemies won't know what hit them because God will move swiftly and powerfully on your behalf. Their voices will be silenced, not because you silenced them, but because God's perfect timing called an end to their season of opposition. So do not grow weary or lose heart. Trust that the delays, the unanswered prayers, and the long nights are all part of God's perfect plan to position you for a victory so great that it will echo through generations. When God says it's time, the silence of your enemies will be so complete, so absolute, that you will know without a doubt. This was the hand of God working on your behalf all along. It's easy to feel discouraged when the battle feels endless, when every step forward seems met with 2 steps back, when your enemies keep coming at you with renewed strength. But here's the truth you need to hold on to. Your victory is already secured. Before the first arrow was ever fired, before the first word of opposition was spoken, your victory was written in the heavens. This is not just hope or wishful thinking. This is a promise anchored in the very nature of God. You don't have to fight for your victory as if it's a distant possibility. It is already yours because God has declared it so. The Bible tells us that the battle belongs to the Lord. What does that mean? It means that no matter how fierce your enemies may seem, no matter how loud their accusations or how sharp their attacks, they do not have the final say. The final say belongs to the one who holds all power and authority, and He has already secured your victory. You are not fighting blind or alone. The battle is not about proving yourself worthy or strong enough. It's about standing firm in the confidence that God has already won the war on your behalf. Your enemies may gather, they may strategize, and they may think they have the upper hand, but their plans cannot overturn what God has already established. Your breakthrough is guaranteed because God's promises never fail. This is why you must walk in boldness and confidence, not fear or doubt. When you understand that victory is not something you earn in the heat of the fight, but something that has been assured by God's unwavering faithfulness, you can stand unshaken. Your victory was secured long before the battle even began. It is a done deal, waiting for the perfect time to be revealed. So as your enemies raise their voices and try to intimidate you, remember that they are only echoing a defeat that was already written for them. Your destiny is victory, your path is triumph, and your story will end in praise because your victory is already secured. There's a force far greater than any enemy you face, something no human power can overcome, and that force is divine intervention. When God steps into your situation, the rules change completely. What looks impossible to human eyes becomes inevitable. Human opposition may be loud, relentless, and strategic, but divine intervention is sovereign, unstoppable, and all-powerful. It's not a matter of how hard your enemies fight. It's a matter of when God chooses to move, and when He does, the outcome is already decided in your favor. Think about the greatest stories of triumph in history, both biblical and personal, victories that seemed improbable, even impossible. What was the common thread? God's hand. It wasn't human strength or wisdom that won the day, but God's supernatural power that shattered every resistance. Your enemies might gather in armies, plot in the shadows, and use every tactic to bring you down, but none of their schemes can stand against the power of divine intervention. This is why you must never underestimate what God can do on your behalf. Your struggle is not just a natural battle. It's a spiritual warfare where God fights for you with a power that no human can match. When God moves, walls crumble, chains break, and voices that once roared against you fall silent. The silence is not the absence of conflict. It is the overwhelming presence of God's victory. You don't have to outsmart or overpower your enemies. You only have to trust that God is fighting for you. Human opposition may test your patience and try your faith, but divine intervention is the ultimate game changer. It doesn't matter how strong or clever the opposition appears. When God intervenes, all their power evaporates like smoke in the wind. So hold fast, because the same God who parted seas, brought down giants, and raised the dead is about to intervene in your life. His intervention will be so clear, so powerful, so undeniable that your enemies will be silenced not by your efforts, but by his mighty hand. Divine intervention trumps human opposition every single time. Remember that, and walk boldly into the victory that awaits you. Waiting is one of the hardest seasons to endure, especially when your enemies are loud, your challenges are relentless, and your heart aches for relief. But understand, this faithfulness in the waiting is not just about patience. It is the very key that unlocks the silence of your enemies and ushers in your breakthrough. When God seems silent, when answers are delayed, and when progress feels slow, that's the moment your faith must roar louder than your fears. You might wonder why God doesn't act immediately, why the silence from heaven feels deafening, and why the battles seem to drag on longer than you expected. The answer is that waiting is not a sign of God's absence, but a stage in his perfect process. During this time, your character is being refined, your resolve is being strengthened, and your heart is being aligned with his will. God is preparing you for what's next, and faithfulness in the waiting proves that you are ready to receive it. Remember, waiting is not passive. It's an active stance of trust, choosing to believe when there's no visible evidence, choosing to hope when circumstances say otherwise, and choosing to worship when the storm rages around you. This kind of faith makes a difference. It positions you in the place where God can move mightily on your behalf. The silence of your enemies will come only after you have proven faithful in the wait. The breakthrough is often preceded by the longest seasons of struggle because God wants your victory to be unmistakably his work. When you stay faithful, you demonstrate that your trust is not in the outcome but in the one who holds the outcome. So do not give up or give in. When the waiting feels unbearable, remind yourself that God's timing is perfect and that every delay has a purpose. Hold on to your faith like your life depends on it, because in truth, your breakthrough depends on it. The enemy's noise will not last forever, and the silence that follows will testify to your unwavering faith. Stand firm, stay faithful, and watch how God turns your waiting into your greatest testimony. There is a powerful and often misunderstood truth about silence, especially the silence of your enemies. That silence is not empty or meaningless. It is a sacred space where God's glory is about to be revealed in its fullest brilliance. When your enemies grow quiet, it's because God is preparing to display his power in a way that words and noise never could. The silence that falls is the calm before a divine eruption of glory, a holy hush that signals something extraordinary is on the horizon. You see, God is a God of glory. He delights in turning situations that seem hopeless into testimonies of his unmatched greatness. When your enemies are shouting, plotting, and trying to intimidate you, it often conceals a greater truth. God is working behind the scenes, orchestrating a moment where his glory will shine so brightly that it will leave no doubt who is truly in control. That silence is like the dark night that comes before the dawn. It may feel unsettling or confusing, but it is necessary. It's the pause where God gathers his strength, the quiet before the unveiling of his majestic power. In that silence, God is moving mightily, shaping circumstances, shifting hearts, and setting the stage for a display of his glory that will be undeniable and unforgettable. When your enemies fall silent, it's not because they've won. It's because God is about to speak so loudly through your life that their voices will be drowned out completely. That silence will become the platform for your praise, your testimony, and your witness to the world. Peace in the silence is God's way of saying, "Watch and see what I will do." So embrace the silence, don't fear it or rush it. Let it be a sacred moment where your faith grows, your hope is renewed, and your spirit is prepared to receive the glory God is ready to reveal. Because when the silence breaks, it will be filled with the sound of victory, the music of praise, and the undeniable proof that God is the one who fights for you and silences your enemies. You may feel like you're stuck right now, like you're caught in the middle of a storm with no clear way out. But hear this clearly. Every season of struggle, every battle you face is preparing you for a breakthrough that is bigger than anything you've ever imagined. God is about to do something so incredible in your life that your enemies won't have words to respond, and your victory will be undeniable. But breakthroughs don't just happen by chance. They require preparation. Preparation means getting your heart ready, your mind focused, and your spirit aligned with God's purpose. It means letting go of fear, doubt, and discouragement, and standing firm in faith even when it feels like nothing is changing. The moment before your breakthrough are the moments that test your commitment, your trust, and your readiness to receive what God has promised. Think of it like the calm before the storm, the quiet that builds before the floodgates open wide. This is the time to strengthen your faith through prayer, cultivate patience through perseverance, and to sharpen your vision by keeping your eyes fixed on God's promises. Your breakthrough is on its way, but you have to be ready to recognize it when it arrives. The enemy knows your breakthrough is coming, and that's why he's been relentless in his attacks. But God's power is greater than any opposition. The breakthrough is not just about changing your circumstances. It's about transforming your entire life, your purpose, and your destiny. When it comes, it will not only silence your enemies, but also inspire others who have been watching your journey. So prepare yourself. Cleanse your heart from bitterness. Strengthen your spirit with hope. Align your actions with faith. Because when your breakthrough arrives, it will be undeniable and unstoppable. The silence that falls on your enemies will be the sound of victory, and your life will become a testament to God's unfailing faithfulness. Get ready. God is about to open doors you thought were closed forever, to turn your struggles into stepping stones, and to silence every enemy with a breakthrough so powerful that it will echo for a lifetime. As we stand on the edge of this moment, remember this: God is about to silence your enemies, the battles you faced, the voices that tried to tear you down, the struggles that seemed never-ending. They are all coming to an end, not by your strength, but by his power. Your victory is already written, your breakthrough is already prepared, and the silence that falls will be the loudest declaration that God fights for you. So hold fast to faith, stay patient in the waiting, and prepare your heart to receive what God is ready to unleash. The silence of your enemies is the sign that God's glory is about to be revealed, and your life will testify to his unmatched power. Stand tall, speak boldly, and walk confidently into the destiny that awaits you. Because when God moves, no enemy can stand, no voice can prevail, and no opposition can silence the victory he has secured for you. Get ready to witness the impossible. Because God is about to silence your enemies, and your victory is unstoppable.